Hello, elementary school students across America and on United States military bases around the world. This is Michael T. Mondak Reads. I'm the eponymous Michael T. Mondak, and I'm back with you on this Monday to virtually read one picture book to you, your parents, and your teachers. But I can't do it without a previous to what I'll be reading. Here it is for this Monday. Have you ever wanted to run away from home and be placed with another family? Well, where do you think you might not have been a good fit for your family and wanted to be placed with another's family? Well, Big Bird found himself in such a situation. He was living alone with no bird friends of his own on Sesame Street, and a social worker, Miss Finch, wanted to place him with another bird family, but he didn't like it and ran away. It's part of a storyline by Judy Friedberg and Tony Geis called Follow That Bird. So, pack your bags. We're going to be starting in New York City, and then we're going to travel from there to Illinois, to Indiana, and back to New York City. Let's get started. Big Bird did not know it, but he was for the adventure of his life. It all began at a meeting of the Feathered Friends Society. This meeting will come to order, said the chairbird. As you know, our job is to place stray birds with a nice bird families. She held up a picture of Big Bird. This bird is 6 years old. He lives all alone with no other birds around. Oh, he looks so sad, said an ancient bird. Mr. Owl said, that's funny, he looks happy to me. Miss Finch spoke up. Nonsense. He can't be happy. He needs to be with a bird family. And I know just the family. Big Bird was skating down Sesame Street saying hello to his friends when Miss Finch arrived to find him. Finally, she found him and told him the good news. You know, Big, you really do need a home, she said. But this is my home. I like it here, said Big Bird. But wouldn't you like to be with birds of your own kind, said Miss Finch. Wouldn't you be happier at a big birdhouse with a bird family, singing and playing bird games all day long? Wouldn't you really? As Big Bird listened, his eyelids drooped dreamily. He imagined a big happy bird family, and all of them looked just like him. Gee, sounds wonderful, said Big Bird. The Dodo family of Ocean View, Illinois is waiting to adopt a bird just like you, said Miss Finch. Wow, said Big Bird. When can I leave? Meanwhile, outside Big Bird's front door, Susan, Maria, and Tully Monster were eavesdropping. Big Bird is leaving Sesame Street, Maria said with a gasp. They ran to spread the awful news. In no time, Big Bird was packed and ready to go. He went to say goodbye to his best friend, Mr. Snuffleupagus. Both of them burst into tears. You can visit me in Ocean View, Big Bird told him. I can, said Snuffy. That makes me feel a little better. Snuffy, please do me a favor. Watch my nest while I'm away so nothing happens to it, okay? Anything for you, Bird, said Snuffy. Everyone on Sesame Street came to say goodbye to Big Bird. His beak began to quiver. Saying goodbye was so hard. Come on, Big, said Miss Finch. You don't want to miss your plane. Just walk away and don't look back. Miss Finch took Big Bird to the airport. He got on the plane with his teddy bear Radar. Big Bird looked out the window as the plane took off. Gee, flying is wonderful. I feel just like a bird, he said. Big Bird fell asleep and didn't wake up until the plane began to land. He looked out at the farms below. This sure doesn't look like Sesame Street, he said. When the plane landed in Ocean View, Big Bird was the first one off. He saw the Dodo family right away. Daddy Dodo, Mommy Dodo, and the little Dodos, Donnie and Marie. Daddy Dodo walked over to Big Bird and said, "Excuse me, was there a big yellow bird on this plane?" "Only me," said Big Bird. "Too bad," said Mommy Dodo. "Maybe he'll be on the next plane." Big Bird looked puzzled. "Are you the Dodos?" he asked. They all nodded. "I'm Big Bird." "No, you're not," said Daddy Dodo. "From now on, you're Big Dodo." "Big Dodo?" said Big Bird, looking more puzzled than ever. The Dodos lived a short drive from the airport on Canary Row. Big Bird arrived at their suburban. From the moment Big Bird arrived at their suburban birdhouse, he found life with the Dodos to be puzzling all around. Every morning after a big breakfast of birdseed, Daddy Dodo would call out, "Time to go digging for worms." Then they would all rush out to their front yard and peck and peck and peck, but they never found a worm. Every afternoon, Donnie and Marie went swimming in their pool. They were always careful to wear their life preservers, even though their pool only had 1 inch of water. Every evening, the Dodos tried to mow their lawn. They had a lawnmower that they could ride, but they always forgot to get on it. So they ran around in circles chasing it, or being chased by it. One night, Daddy Dodo was reading Newsbeat magazine, and Mommy Dodo was knitting socks with feet at both ends. Big Bird was bored. He decided to try to play with Donnie and Marie. "Let's play make-believe," he said. "I'll be Snow White." Donnie said. "Oh, you're not Snow White," Marie said. "You're bright yellow." Big Bird continued anyway. "You can be the dwarves." "We're not dwarves," said Donnie. "We're birds," said Marie. Big Bird threw his hands up. "I said make-believe. Pretend, imagine." "Okay," said Donnie. "I'll make believe I'm Donnie." "I'll make believe I'm Marie," said Marie. "This is fun," they both said. Big Bird shook his head sadly. Big Bird went to his room to write a letter to his friends on Sesame Street. He wanted to tell them that he missed them. Just then he heard a loud knock on the front door and someone called, "Postcard for Big Bird." Big Bird jumped up, banging his head on the ceiling. He rubbed his head and ran downstairs to the door. The mail carrier handed him a giant postcard. "Hope you don't get any packages for this guy," he said. Big Bird read the postcard out loud. "Dear Bird, I'm ready to come and visit. Your best friend, Mr. Snuffleupagus." Mommy Dodo said, "What kind of bird is he?" "Ooh, he's not a bird," said Big Bird. "He's a Snuffleupagus." "But your best friend should be a bird," said Daddy Dodo. "Why?" asked Big Bird. "Because you're a bird," said Mommy Dodo. "Soon you'll have a new best friend." "But I don't want a new best friend. I have a best friend. I want him to come visit," said Big Bird. "Oh, you'll get over that," said Daddy Dodo. He stood up. "Come on, everyone, let's dig worms." "I don't want to dig worms," cried Big Bird. I want to go home." All the Dodos giggled. "You are home," they said. Suddenly, Big Bird realized the truth. He was supposed to stay with the Dodos forever. That night, Big Bird was so homesick, he could not sleep at all. Finally, he made up his mind. He just had to get back to Sesame Street. As soon as the sun came up, Big Bird left a note for the Dodos, took Radar, and snuck out the door. "Bye, Dodos," he whispered. "Thanks for everything." "It only took 2 hours to fly here," he told Radar. "We could walk back to Sesame Street in 3 hours, easy." And off they went. That evening, back on Sesame Street, Bob was cleaning up Hooper's store. The evening news was on TV. And now for our final story, the newscaster said. A runaway with a difference. This runaway is an 8-foot yellow bird. Bob whirled to look at the TV set. Sure enough, there was a picture of Big Bird. Bob ran to the window. Hey everyone, come here. Big Bird's run away. It's on TV. The Count in his castle saw the news story on his TV set too. The TV newscaster continued. With further details, here's our Sesame Street correspondent, Kermit the Frog. Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here in Ocean View, Illinois, with a thank you note where Big Bird left saying he was running back to Sesame Street. And here is the family he left, the Dodos. Are we on television? Asked Daddy Dodo. Yes, said Kermit. Goody, said Mommy Dodo. Let's go in and watch. All the Dodos ran giggling into the house. Hey, wait, said Kermit. Your interview isn't over. Oh, well, sighed Kermit. So much for the Dodos. Now let's hear from Miss Finch of the Feathered Friends Society. Miss Finch, you sent Big Bird to the Dodos. What are you going to do now? I will find Big Bird, Miss Finch declared, and I will bring him back to the Dodos where he belongs. And with that, she drove off in her van, leaving Kermit in a cloud of dust. Meanwhile, far away from Ocean View, Big Bird was watching the whole newscast in a TV store window. Oh no, he said, looking around nervously. Radar, we'd better split up. He put a tag around Radar's neck and marked it bear mail. This will throw them off the tracks, said Big Bird. He kissed Radar and dropped him into a mailbox. See you on Sesame Street, Radar. Back on Sesame Street, things were moving fast. Everyone gathered in Hooper's store to figure out a way to save Big Bird. Bob has had a big map. We have to find Big Bird before Miss Finch does, said Bob. There are 3 roads the Big Bird might be on. All 3 roads meet in a town called Toadstool. This is the plan. We split up into 3 groups. If none of us finds Big Bird first, we'll meet him in Toadstool. Yay, yelled Oscar. I love wild goose chases. Let's go get lost. The Sesame Street gang was ready to go. The Sloppy Jalopy was first, followed by the Volkswagen and the Countmobile. Ernie and Bert were going by plane. Ernie, are you sure you know how to fly this? Asked Bert. Trust me, said Ernie as the plane took a nosedive. Grover was flying too. This is a job for Super Grover, he cried. And far away from Sesame Street and Ocean View, after an uncomfortable night sleeping in a cornfield, Big Bird was walking and walking and walking. Sesame Street is a lot farther than I thought, he said. Just then he heard children's voices coming from a farmhouse near the road. Kids, he said, and he ran to find them. A boy and a girl were at the water pump. They were amazed to see Big Bird. He's the bird we heard about on the evening news, the one that ran away, said the boy. I didn't run away, said Big Bird. I'm going to my real home on Sesame Street. Then he told them about the Dodos and Miss Finch and how hungry he was. We'll help you, said the girl. I'm Ruthie. This is my brother Floyd. She gave Big Bird a big bowl of birdseed. Big Bird thanked them and hungrily ate it up. Then he helped Ruthie and Floyd feed their chickens. Big Bird had never been on a farm before. It was so different from the city. Instead of cars honking, there were geese. And there were more animals than people. Big Bird liked helping the children with their chores. After they fed the chickens, they brought fresh hay to the barn for the horses and cows. Then they went to the orchard to pick pears. The children needed a ladder, but Big Bird did not. On the way back from the orchard, Big Bird caught sight of a familiar red van coming down the road. Miss Finch, he whispered. He was in a panic. What do I do? Quick, hide in the hayfield, said Ruthie, pointing across the road. Big Bird was off like a shot. In a moment, the red van had stopped, and Miss Finch stuck her head out the window. "Have you seen an 8-foot yellow bird?" she asked the children. "No," they said innocently. But Miss Finch was not looking around. But Miss Finch was not looking at them. She was looking at a yellow feather on the road. She quickly got out of her van and stomped across the road into the hayfield. "I'll find that bird if that's the last thing I do," she said. Suddenly there was a rustle behind her. She whirled around. "Did that haystack move?" she said. She stared at it for a moment. "Impossible," she mumbled, and walked away. In the distance, a haystack with striped legs stood up and ran as fast as it could. Meanwhile, the Sesame Street gang was getting closer to Toadstool. The count was zooming along and counting. Ernie and Bert were flying, sometimes upside down. The yellow Volkswagen, minus the fender the Cookie Monster ate, was chugging along. Even the sloppy jalopy, after several of Oscar's wild goose chases, was finally on the right track. "Birdie, here I come," yelled Super Grover. But the yellow spot far below was not Big Bird. It was the Volkswagen. Grover crashed through the roof. Big Bird was getting closer to Toadstool, too. At last he saw a big sign. "Welcome to Toadstool, the Mushroom City. Today, the annual Tournament of Mushrooms Parade." Big Bird loved parades. He hurried to the center of Toadstool. He got there just in time to see the parade start and just in time to see Miss Finch park her van. "Oh no, where will I hide now?" thought Big Bird. He tried to look small, but that was impossible. So he started to run and ran right into the middle of the Toadstool marching band. Miss Finch ran after him. When the band turned down one street, Big Bird turned down the other and ran as fast as he could. Just then, the entire Sesame Street gang arrived in Toadstool. "Look, it's Big Bird," yelled Maria from the sloppy jalopy. But Big Bird did not hear or see Maria. He was too busy running from Miss Finch. Big Bird disappeared down a side street and headed out of town. Just outside of Toadstool, he saw a big sign that said, "Slee's Brothers Fun Fair." "Ooh, a carnival! Maybe I can hide here," said Big Bird. The owners of the carnival noticed a big yellow bird reading their sign. "Look," said Sid Sleaze to his brother Sam. "It's the 8-foot runaway bird. We gotta catch him." "Yeah," said Sam. "People will pay millions to see that bird." They strolled over to Big Bird. "You look worried. Maybe we can help you. We own this fun fair." "I'm being chased," said Big Bird breathlessly. "Can I hide in your fair?" Sam and Sid smiled wickedly. "Be our guest," said Sam. "We have just the place, our hiding cage. You'll be safe there." They led Big Bird to the invisible gorilla cage, and Big Bird went in. Then they slammed the door and locked it. "They'll never find you here," Sam told Big Bird. "Thanks," said Big Bird. The two men left and did not come back for several hours. "Can I come out now?" asked Big Bird when they returned. Sam laughed. "Don't you like your new cage?" "My cage?" cried Big Bird. "Let me out. Help. Help." Sid turned to Sam. "Hey, listen, everyone's looking for a yellow bird. We have to disguise him. I have just the idea." Later that evening, when the crowds began to arrive, Sam stood by the tent selling tickets to see the Blue Bird of Happiness. 8 feet of feathered fun. Mobs of people poured into the tent. And there, inside, was Big Bird, dyed bright blue and singing a very sad song. "No Wonder I'm Blue." After the show, 2 children peeked through the curtain. "Are you real?" said the girl to Big Bird. A big tear rolled down Big Bird's beak. "He must be real," said the boy. "He's crying. What's the matter, Bluebird?" "I'm in big trouble," whispered Big Bird. "Please, would you do me a favor? Call Hooper's store on Sesame Street and tell my friends where I am." Then Sam's head appeared at the tent flap. "Hey, kids, keep away from the tower." The children ran outside and found a roadside telephone. "Hello, operator," said the girl. "Could you please tell me how to get to Sesame Street?" Ring! A phone rang on Sesame Street. The message got through. Later that night, another call came to Sesame Street from the Sesame Street rescuers. "What?" said Maria. "Big Bird in a cage? He's blue? At a carnival? The Sleaze Brothers, just outside Toadstool. We'll be right there." Big Bird was asleep in his cage on the back of the Sleaze Brothers' truck. The Sleaze Brothers were asleep nearby, clutching piles of dollar bills and smiling. Suddenly and silently, the Sesame Street gang appeared in the tent. They were shocked at what they saw. "One blue Big Bird locked in a cage!" cried the Count. They all crept toward the cage. Maria gently woke Big Bird and put a finger to her lips. "Shh," she said. "We've come to rescue you. Be very quiet." "This is a job for Super Grover," whispered Grover. He tried to bend apart the bars of the cage, but they would not budge. "You know where the key is?" Linda asked Big Bird in sign language. He pointed toward the sleeping Sleaze Brothers. Linda crept over to the snoring Sam. She reached for the keys that were dangling from his hand, but he pulled them back in his sleep. Linda plucked a dollar bill from the pile on his bed and lightly tickled Sam's nose in it. He sneezed and opened his hand. Linda grabbed the keys, but before she could unlock the cage, Sam woke up. "Hey, the bird!" he yelled. "Get out of here!" The Sleaze Brothers were out of their beds and into their truck in a flash. Linda had just turned the right key in the lock when the truck roared off, taking with it Big Bird in his cage on the back. "Help!" yelled Big Bird, clutching the bars. "Don't worry, Big Bird," Gordon shouted. "We'll rescue you." Then he and Olivia jumped into the Volkswagen. The chase was on! Olivia pressed the gas pedal all the way to the floor. She had never driven so fast in her life. The beat-up Volkswagen began to shake, but slowly it caught up to the Sleaze Brothers' truck. Finally, it was right behind the truck. Gordon climbed out and carefully crawled over to the front of the Volkswagen. He yelled to Big Bird, "Jump! I'll catch you!" "Gordon, I'm not allowed to jump from a moving truck," Big Bird yelled back. "You have my permission," Gordon said. "Now jump!" And Big Bird did. He jumped right onto the Volkswagen and into Gordon's arms. Big Bird couldn't wait to tell everyone back home about his exciting rescue and how the Sleaze Brothers were arrested for bird napping. When they finally got back to Sesame Street, Susan rushed up to Big Bird and gave him a big hug. She also gave him Radar, who had arrived safe and sound in the mail. Everybody was waving and cheering, and Big Bird waved back joyfully until he saw, right there in the crowd, Miss Finch. She made her way through the crowd. "Hello, Big," she said. "Sorry the dodos weren't right for you, but I can find another bird family." "He has a family, right here on Sesame Street," Maria told Miss Finch. "But he would be happier with his own kind," said Miss Finch. "We're happy people here. We have every kind," said Maria. "We've got people, monsters, birds, honkers, cows, horses, grouches, frogs." Miss Finch looked around. She was quite impressed. "Well, he does seem to have a lot of friends who care about him." And then she said, "I've done it again, placed another stray bird in a good home." "All right, Big, Sesame Street is your home." Big Bird looked around at all his friends and said, "You bet it is." Then he remembered that Mr. Snuffleupagus had promised to watch his nest. "Oh, excuse me, everybody. I have to tell Snuffy I'm back." And he ran to his nest. "Snuffy," said Big Bird. "Bird," said Mr. Snuffleupagus. The two friends hugged each other. "Oh, I'm glad you're back, Bird," said Mr. Snuffleupagus. Big Bird said, "It's so good to be home." And that, boys and girls, concludes the story. Join me again tomorrow, same time, same channel.